Hi, my name is Manjeet Mann. I'm the author of The Crossing. The Crossing is my second YA novel told in verse, and it is about two teenagers from opposite worlds. Sammy, who is leaving Eritrea and trying to get to the UK, and Natalie, who lives in Dover. It is a story of hope, grief, and the very real tragedies of the refugee crisis and the search for a better life. Now, Natalie's world is falling apart. She's just lost her mum. Her brother has joined a far right group and marches the streets of Dover. And swimming is Natalie's only refuge, and she decides to swim the channel for a charity to help refugees. Now, Sammy has also lost a parent. He's lost his father, and he has fled his home and family in Eritrea for the chance of a new life in Europe. But every step he takes on his journey is a step into an unknown and unwelcoming future. But a twist of fate brings them together and gives them both hope. And the novel is told through the lens of both Natalie and Sammy. They're the narrators of their own story. And the novel flows back and forth between both voices. So I'm just going to read you a short extract from the beginning of the book, which marks the start of both of their journeys. 366 days before. Natalie. Everyone is crying but me. 7 days since she passed. 7 days, 11 hours, 43 minutes and 16 seconds, counting the days, hours, minutes to stop myself from drowning. Everyone is crying but me. Dad squeezes my shoulder. Be brave, Nat. I walk towards the front of the church. 7 days, 11 hours, 53 minutes, and 9, 10, 11, 12. Everyone is crying but me. I'm trying to remember how to breathe. My desert dry mouth, hands trembling, I swallow sand. It feels like an eternity before I find my voice. Everyone is crying but me. Tears stream down Dad's face. He's given up on wiping them away. His voice cracks as he reminds everyone of who she was. Catherine, Kate, Kitty, her laugh, joyful life, mermaid, wonderful mother, beautiful wife, activist, big heart. My mum. Everyone is crying. Everyone. Even me. Sammy. Me and Mama have lain here on the cold floor for hours, or seconds. It's hard to know anything right now. I lie next to Baba, his warm hands turn cold, and I want more than anything to breathe life back into him. Baba was fearless in a country ruled by fear. I wish I was like you, I would say. My son the stargazer, he would say. You are perfect just as you are. Mama moves in waves, her body undulating a crash of howls. I am a rock, unresponsive to her swells of emotion as she beats her chest and folds into half the woman she was. His blood seeps into my shirt, staining my skin. I breathe into the holes in his chest. Our salty tears mix with his iron blood, which soak into our skin, our hair, our guilt that we live and he doesn't. Mama looks at me, and in this moment she is still and serious. I can't hide you forever, Samuel. It is time. They will come for you next. Now, the inspiration behind The Crossing actually started years ago. It started in 2015, not long after I moved to where I live now, which is on the Kent coast, not far from Dover. And it was the beginning of what was being called the migrant crisis. You know, suddenly it was in the news all the time. Over 1 million refugees had fled war-torn countries or persecution and had made it to Europe wanting safety. And this was big news everywhere, but even more so in Dover and nearby areas because it was was happening on our doorstep. You know, boats full of desperate people making it to Dover and Folkestone in the dead of night, but also stories of people who didn't make it, and it was really, really distressing. Now, at the same time, there was also this lovely festival in my hometown called the Salt Festival, and it's all about the sea and the wonders of the English Channel. And they were showing a series of documentaries on channel swimming and talks by channel swimmers. So in the morning, I'm reading these horrific stories about refugees attempting to cross these treacherous bodies of water, knowing they might not make it. And then in the evening, I'm in a theatre listening to people talking about training plans and swimming the channel. And for me, there was just this really weird disconnect. And also, alongside that, I was working with a group of women who had refugee seeking status, and I worked with them through my organisation called Run the World, and I've been doing this for a number of years actually, but hearing their stories over this time was really it was very sad, and it was really a very eye-opening experience as well. And then in January 2018, we have one of the worst far-right demonstrations in Dover, and one of the most frightening things that I've ever witnessed. People marching the streets against refugees, and it brought the town to a standstill. It was a very, 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 very ugly time. So these three things felt really connected for me, and I wanted to kind of make sense of it all. You know, I would stand on the beach on a morning, and I'd look out at the English Channel, and you'd see the channel swimmers training, and then you got the Border Force boat docked at the harbour, and then you got these protests against refugees and these horrific stories of people losing their life trying to cross these dangerous bodies of water. And at the time, actually, I was thinking about making a piece of theatre about it, but actually, as I started writing it, it was really clear that it was becoming a book. And it didn't feel like it was just a refugee story. It didn't feel like it was just a far-right story or a channel swimmer story. It felt like it had to be about all three, because all three of those things felt like they were in the fabric of the town that I was living in. So I had to find a way to have them live in one story, because I sort of feel like it's a story of desperate people, really. You know, you've got Sammy, Nat and Ryan are all desperate in their own ways, and it's also a story of connection in a world where I think a lot of people feel very disconnected to what's happening around them, when actually I sort of feel like we're probably more connected than ever, more connected than we think. So I'm just going to read you another short extract from the beginning of the book. 336 days before. Natalie. I should have taken more videos of her. I should have recorded every moment, caught every breath, savoured every laugh. I touched the screen, wanting to grab hold of her, to reach through my phone and pull her out. I wish she was still here, Dad. I know, love, I know. Dad's desperate to keep it together, but he's broken. We all are. We've kept our distance these past few months, keeping our sharp edges to ourselves. Getting too close could cause a puncture, and then we'll see it. The emptiness, the grief, it'll leak out, or pull us in. Either way, there'll be no escaping it. My heart shifts a little, knowing we'll never be the same, knowing we won't ever fit like before. Mum was like winter socks. She knew how to keep you warm. She knew how to hold you. Dad's like fingerless gloves. He tries, but he doesn't quite reach your edges, the important bits, the bits that really matter. Watch this, Nat. Watch me. We stare at the screen as Mum cartwheels straight into the sea and then emerges, coughing and laughing, trying to catch her breath. That laugh, Ryan says, smiling. And he's right. Mum was small, but she was a powerhouse. Big laugh, big smile, big heart. Ryan slides his finger across the screen so we can watch the scene play out again and again and again. She was so passionate, wasn't she, Dad? Like about everything. She was, Nat, he says. She cared too much, your mum. Well, you know what she'd say to that, don't you? What, Nat? There's no such thing. You can't care too much. Sammy. Too much time has passed. I trace Baba's face on the screen with my fingertips. I memorise his voice. Eritrea is a country traumatised by war. I want to feel his skin. This once free country is a military prison. I whisper his words. The world's biggest prison. I pause the recording. I stroke the face on the screen, wishing it was skin. I press play and the recording restarts. I wonder if this video is the reason he's no longer here. First, the Italians. I study Baba's face. Then the British. I watch how he uses his hands. Then came Ethiopia. I mimic his posture. Years of war. Baba is animated. He gestures wildly with his hands, his eyes bright, his speech slow, picking up pace as he captivates his audience. I stare at my reflection in the mirror. I look into my eyes, I examine my body, I study my breath, desperate to see him in them, in me. There are many ways to be brave, Sammy. Most are small, simple acts of courage. You will find yours. Baba's courage was in his words. Never be afraid to speak up for what is right. It's too hard, Baba. I feel hopeless. It is never hopeless, Sammy. Never. You know why? Why? Because no matter how dark it gets, there are still stars in the sky. Thank you very much. The Crossing.